Hello, hello, hello. I feel like I'm in one of those quartet things. But yeah, let's start. What's up guys? It's your boy Andrew coming back at you from the YouTube channel. Usually I don't do these intros. Usually I'm starting out playing my guitar or singing a cover or playing my piano. But what we're going to try starting to do differently now is something I've done recently. Partnered with this guy who lives in Colorado. Awesome guy, great heart for God. He runs this blog called livehim.com, and he has a page on Instagram. You should go follow it. It's livehim. And it's basically just an awesome online ministry where he gives his testimony and he goes through stories in his life that relate to problems that we're currently facing right now. And they're awesome things. He lets, if you want to write a blog, he lets you do it. I currently have two up right now. One called You Don't Have to Be Perfect, and the other one, sorry, I just drew a blank there. But what I basically want to talk about is two things. One, I want to talk about what the Live Him is about. There's been this huge misconception among people that Christians are these perfect beings and then we have to do everything perfect and we have this perfect lifestyle. When in reality, that's not the case. It's actually probably the hardest lifestyle I personally believe that you can live from experience. It takes a lot of giving up a lot of things and surrender and risking a lot of things in life. You got to lay down your old self and the things that you want and your desires, for God and His will, and He rewards you for your faithfulness in the end. At least that's what the Bible says. I mean, I'm believing from faithful believer. And the other thing I want to talk about is the same thing. It's this misconception that Christians are perfect. Walking a righteous lifestyle, a godlike life, is about as hard as, a 9 to 5 day-to-day job or playing the most athletic sport out there. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of determination, a lot of headstrongness. You don't really see faithfulness in football, but it takes a lot of that. It takes a lot of believing that things are all going to work together according to what He has you called for. In the Bible it says according to His purpose, He's working all things together for good. For good. And we basically, me and this guy just want to shed some light on it because a lot of people have been God hurt in the past because they've been told they have to be perfect and that they can't do this and they can't do that. And it really, it hurts them right here. I personally, am a testimony of that. I remember not wanting to go to church for so long because every time I went and I had a problem, a lot of people would, dive in on me and make me feel bad. Then, you come to realize those aren't the right places. There's going to be some churches and some people that don't have the right head on their shoulders. In the Bible, it talks a lot about, the devil, he sends false prophets and, people that try to tempt you so he can get your head. The enemy just wants to get in your head 95% of the time. But it's that 5% of faithfulness that you have to have, and then God multiplies it to 5,000%. We just have to, we have to believe as people that, nothing's perfect and we're not perfect. One thing I want to go into is the story of the woman by the well in Samaria. She was a Samaritan woman, and Jesus had come to the well on His journey through His ministry. He took a huge detour. It wasn't even, on the way. Jesus went out of His way to see this woman, which is also going to bring me to a point about these sheep later. But Jesus went out of His way to see this woman because, He knew there was going to be something good happening there. And Jesus was working awesome miracles in His ministry, and He went to Samaria to this well. And I think if I remember the story correctly, He was either asking her to wash His feet or He was asking her to draw Him a cup of water. I think it was a cup of water. And she didn't know it was Jesus at the time. But, Jesus was a Jew, and Jewish people and Samaritan people didn't get along, especially Samaritan women. And she wasn't she didn't have the best life. She had 5 husbands. She was ridiculed, beaten, spitting on, made fun of because of who she was. And Jesus didn't care about that. Jesus knew, He was going to have a breakthrough with this woman. despite what their past is, because our past doesn't define us, we may have good times in life, but, it has to be a God time. My friend Bryson says there's ideas of good ideas, but then there's a God idea. That's what we have to follow. But, the woman was like, what are you doing, affiliating with me? What are you doing talking to me? And Jesus was like, I love you, and it's not, because of your past or, the way other people see you. I want you to do this for me, even if you don't think you're worthy, because I think you're worthy enough to do it. And that's what I get from that message personally. That's what picks me up, knowing that, not because of my past, I'm going to be held down, I'm going to be chained, I'm going to be broken. But Jesus says, we look forward from this moment. We may have minor speed bumps in the process, but that's progression. That's getting better. And, Jesus went out of his way to go to Samaria to see this woman in his ministry. And that also reminds me in Matthew, it talks about, if a herder has 100 sheep and one wanders off, does he go for the sheep or does he stay with the herd? And the whole message that I believe is behind that, is, we are people in the world, but if we're faithful to God, he's going to be searching, hunting after us and running after us, until he has us. And he's just that loving God that will never let us go away. If we run away from, the 99, we're that one sheep he's going to be looking for. And yeah, that's the whole thing about that. Go to livehim.com, read the blogs. This channel might turn into me being kind of like an ambassador for his base. But yeah.